Welcome back to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. We say what's in my drawers because old club makers are tremendous pack rats, and I am no exception. And we've talked about what was in our drawers from a historical point of view and to spur on some conversation, and it's worked very, very well to date. And so we're going to keep that trend. So again, welcome back after the Open, right? It was a great day that they finished on. You couldn't have asked for a much nicer weather for finish, right? That was pretty impressive. And we saw a winner in Colin Morikawa just basically take everything that was thrown at him, and he took it like a champ. I knew that a lot of people were rooting for Jordan Spieth, and I was one of them, thinking that certainly that he could pull this off. And there was opportunity, but it just didn't happen. And it is what it is. And that's the reason why they call it golf. But both put on a wonderful display. And there were some other, some really good, some good golf shots that were being played throughout. I mean, there'd be some memorable moments and all kinds of stuff. So well done. Congratulations to Colin Morikawa. Now, I'm not going to go down to the last one, but let's, at least we can say, what is it, in the Open, the top 10 finishers, is it the top 10 finishers, they get invited back to the next year. So you're going to see a lot of people that did very, very well be able to come back, and that's a good thing. I'm going to change this a little bit. That was just bothering me. There we go. Okay. So we did that, and now we normally talk about the work that I've got going on. I didn't take as many pictures this time around. I did a lot of the reels on Instagram, but I will say they're back. I started getting Mizuno. I got my last shipment of the Mizunos in, and that's a great thing. To the point, I got all my demos. And so all my demos are converted over to the new connector, right? And to reiterate, this is what I had. You guys can tell me which one you like better. This is what I had, right? So this piece into this piece. Now, I am not putting this thing down. It worked for many, many, many years. But I will say this. This was heavy. Right? This was heavy, and in order to make this work, I would have to have to drill down into here an extra 1/4 of an inch and then hack off a 1/4 of an inch in order to make up for just this piece. It didn't make up for this piece, but I made up for that piece. And so I made it lighter. And before I did that, I did a lot of checking around to see about movement of weight. If I was to lower that or raise that or whatever, would that be a big thing? And these are I talked to some golf club designers, and universally they all said no. So, and I didn't see any performance changes either. But now we're to that, right? We're to this. And basically now all I have to do is I drill the hosel out to a certain given width, and then what it does, that amount of material that I have, that amount of material that I've removed is equivalent to not only this, but that, right? So it's a 1-for-1 exchange. So the club that you're swinging, will be the club that you can get. It won't be super duper heavy. It won't be super duper light. It'll be right on. So it's the mama bear. Right? Not too light, not too heavy, just right. And that's what they're for. So I did some testing to take you into the next phase of what we did. And the reason why I didn't have so many pictures is Accra, and I think I showed you this last time we did this, but maybe not. Anyway, Accra retooled up some of their I-Series. And the stuff that I had in the I-Series was dated. Is dated by the logo, was dated by you know, they say they keep making improvements. So, okay. So I retooled the entire Acra line, the entire Acra iron shaft line, to the point I included what they now call a constant weight taper. And they come in three weights, a 75, a 95, and a 115. And that's all incorporated. So if you see all this right back here, see all that with all the funny logos, all the multiple logos back in there, and you see how it goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. All right, so what I did is I got two shafts. I got one, I made it to standard length for the guys that are hitting standard, maybe a little shorter, and I made an inch longer for those guys that need an inch longer, or maybe a half an inch longer. I didn't go any higher than that, only because I played the statistics that I rarely get somebody that needs a club that is extraordinarily long past that. It's a rarity. And if somebody tells me that they're extraordinarily tall, near 7 foot, and we talk about it, I might make up, and I have done this in the past, make up some irons that I think may work, our iron shafts. So I go to a better look, I go to a better weight, and I get some new stuff when it's all said and done. So not a bad setup, right? So now, man, so now all these shafts, all those shafts, and all those shafts are ready to go for irons. And all my other shafts that are my FXs are ready to go in the new connector as well. And that's pretty cool too. Now keep in mind, the other connector, I have to change out the screw in the head in order for it to work, because it takes a different screw plus the different washers, and that was in a video I did for All Fit, and so they can do good there. So all right, so the only other thing I had going on over the weekend other than golf was that I smoked some chicken. Wrapped a couple in bacon just to see what it would look like or taste like, and I have to say, guys, that smoked chicken ain't bad. And smoked chicken wrapped in bacon is even more tender than I would have thought. So there we go. All right. Mrs. McGolf, we'll start off here. Mrs. McGolf brought me a question, and it's from a gentleman named Steve Clary, which happens to be my wife's maiden name. And
I'm working, making money.
yeah, she's actually putting grips on clubs right now. All right, so the Callaway adapter, he wants to know about an adapter. It says the Callaway adapter comes shipped with a rubber washer, a large thin washer, plus two thicker, smaller washers. As I know, of course, the screw in the Sun's XR driver popped out. That's saying something. And I'm left with three washers and a rubber ring. Please share with the washers live on the side of the head. Okay. All right. So I just happen to have one of those washers. It looks like three, but it's, well, so you got the rubber gasket. See that guy, the rubber gasket right there? All right. That obviously goes inside the head, because the rubber gasket, let's take them, if I can take these guys apart. There we go. Just got to pull it off. So there's the rubber gasket. And then there's the washers. We got one washer. We got a second washer. And the second washer looks like two, but is only really one. There comes the thing. Alrighty, so how does this work? You put the screw, put that first washer in there, it looks like two, in there first. And then you put the big washer in on top of that. And then you put it through the head, and this guy goes on it on the inside and sits in there like that. So that's how it's supposed to be. So now, the real trick is, how do you make it happen, right? And that one, I don't, see if I've got a head over here. I don't have mine. I normally have a left-handed head. So what I typically do is I put this through the head, and I set that right on top. Now, the adapter piece, what I'll do is I'll take the adapter piece because there's a little bit of movement, and I'll push it down so that it catches the rubber washer, and then I'll turn it while it's still pushing, and it should push all the way down until you get down to the bottom, and then all you do is you unhook it, and you should be good to go. Now, this isn't the exact washer that came with this. The washer in the Callaways is more substantial. It's more like an O-ring as opposed to a rubber washer. And those of you that are mechanical types will understand that. But it's more of a ring than it is a flat piece. And that's what gives you a little bit of cushion, and you really need to get that. I went to the hardware store and I found a couple. It took me a couple of trips, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it was, but it's not 3/16 and it's not 1/16. If you're looking at an 1/8 or something in that area, you'd probably be pretty good. But obviously, if you want it to fit, you take that guy with you, and then you figure it out. Because it has to be bigger, because the Callaway hole is pretty big, and that's what keeps that rubber washer keeps it in there. Now, I have seen, because it's apparently popped out on a few, where that big washer ends up underneath in order to hold it in there. I went back and I went and looked at most of my heads, and if Mrs. McGolf is listening, maybe she can pull one off of the demo rack, and we'll come back to that to kind of show you what we mean. So, Steve, I hope that worked out for you. All right, let's get to the questions. All the way to the top. There's my buddy Matt. In early because of a baseball game. That's all right. 75-79 to finish out our trip in Phoenix. First round back to Ohio. Back was stiff. Doesn't matter. Thank you. All righty. So I got the head. So I will tell you I shot an 80. I went out with my dad and we shot an 80, and I had 4 3-putts. I shot it was a 40-40. And I had 1 3-putt on the front and 3 on the back. Now, that's bad, but I also had 3 1-putts. So my chipping game had to come in strong, otherwise it was going to be a problem. I was even par in the back, Matt, until, 15, 16, 17, which I 3-putted all 3 of those, and then finally pulled my head out of my backside and parred the last hole to come out. So not bad for me. I lost my concentration. Alrighty, so Miss McGolf brought me a head, and if you can see there, let's see if I can make it happen here. There you go. So you can see where the washers are at. There's the 2 washer looking and the regular washer there. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see in there, and I'm not taking this thing out, but the only thing sitting in there is the rubber gasket. Yep. The only thing running in there is the rubber gasket. So that's how you would put it on. All right. What are your thoughts? Danny, how's it going on, man? What are your thoughts on the draw fade sliders that are on the backs of some drivers? I try them and really haven't noticed any difference. Maybe it's just me. Aha. Well, Danny, it just so happens I am a huge fan of the slider. And it's not that I'm going to, well, and of course, Mrs. McGolf brought me Big Berthas that don't have sliders. Sliders are meant to be tweaks, not corrections. That's the first thing we've got to understand. Tweaks, not corrections. And once we understand that, then you can more tell whether or not the thing's working or not. Now, that little slider needs to be no less. It's got to be bigger than 10 grams, right? Around 12. And my lovely assistant, Mrs. McGolf. Here we go. I'm going to take those back. So the slider here, right, needs to be at least 12 grams. You can get the door, please. And that's in order for it to affect a change, right? So if you put this down in here, and this makes it draw bias, and you put it up in here, and that's fade bias. And what that's doing is you're moving the weight to where that the physics of the club is working. So if it's more down here, it's going to naturally want to do that. If it's more up in here, it's going to more initially want to stay open. And that's the physics of it, not you. And the heavier that weight, the more inclined it's going to be. And just so happens on these models that it's even more than, I think it's up to 17 grams. So the adjustment works even more. Right, I said that, even more. Now, again, still tweaks. Now, you know, if you're slicing the golf ball and you're slicing it bad, and you go to put that in full draw mode, are you going to stop slicing? No, because you're going to figure out how to slice even more. That's what's going to happen. However, will it take you from being into the second cut of rough and put you into the first, or maybe even on the edge? Yeah, that would probably happen, and that's what those are for. But I'm a big proponent. Now, for me, I keep mine. My typical miss is a fade, and so what I'll do is, this is right above here, right about where my fingers is normally about the standard. So I slide mine down to where, well, just about this setting right here. I set it right to there, and I don't lose them to the right or to my left anymore as much as I used to. I can still lose it to the left just like anybody else. However, not nearly as bad. All right. So, Mr. Kent, hot and sticky Halifax, West Yorkshire. All right. Well, this is a hot and sticky Southern Ohio, Mr. Nicholson. And we've had bunches of rain, and now the sun's starting to come back out, and hence the humidity. So, yeah, it's not very fun. Looks like Robbie is set to buy some 08 Cobra Pro CBs. They'll be winning their way to have their shaft scripts and blueprinted, doing by yourself, no doubt. Oh, okay. Let me do this real quick. Okay. Well, hopefully, I guess so. All right, what do we got here? Golf Nut, Heat Wave in Hornsea, UK. Hope you're all well. Had a lesson. Now learning how to draw the ball. Was 20 left and 20 open. Ooh, 4 degrees down at start. Have a 2017 TM. Is worth upgrade to PXG 211. The 211. I really can't tell you if it's worth that, because it just depends on. So the 211 is the original one, and you can throw, if you got those weights, a bag of those weights, so that you could really fill them out and put them to where you want. Yeah, maybe, right? You could probably get there. But is the PXG the 211? Because keep in mind, it's not. If it's the one I believe it is, it's the original model. It's came out in about the same time frame. It may be new built this time frame, but everything in it was from the original time period. Where the 311 is now out there, the 311T and all those other ones are out there. So if the M1 is the more forgiving, and forgive me for not knowing the difference between the M1 and 2, and then there's 5s and 6s. But if the M1 is the more forgiving model of the two, personally, I don't see you upgrade. I don't see you getting a leap in upgrade technology or an up leap. Now, the quality of the build very well may be better, but the leap in technology or something that you would get that would help you with the things that you're doing, I don't see it. David, what do you say, sir? Yep, congrats to Morikawa. It was very good. I think it was very good indeed. Great price at a minute, 200 in lesson, 4 left. Oh, look at that. Well done. 4 left. That's not bad. If you can be 4 going in either direction, you're all right. Club face. So now if your club face is coming in square, you're doing what we would call baby draws or baby fades. And the one up means you're really airing it out. That's where short of the big bend, but your 30-yard gain is more from this than that. And at 95, that's pretty good, sir. Well done. The rest of the stitches out tomorrow, Paul. That would be neat to see. In the pick of my. All right. Well, good for you. Whatever you do, man, do the therapy and listen to that doctor, because we all want to come back faster than we normally do. You want to come back so you can golf longer. Patrick, digging the logo as always, and welcome from Wisconsin. Willard, how are you, sir? How are things up north? Is it sticky as crap up there as well as it is down here? Oh. Mr. Tom Strother, how you doing, buddy? And we'll take golfing as an excuse. I would. Oh, just in time for Mr. Bartholomew. McCallum 12. We're trying something a little bit new. Dual cask. It's not bad. Look here. Miss McGolf throws one out there. She's regripping. A gentleman came in here and didn't like the Jumbo Max, is going to the Jumbo Grips. So not too bad. Yeah, Morikawa, man, I tell you what, he was impressive. I mean, and how many times, how popular can that be for a guy who sets up and plays a cut? Plays a cut on everything. Now, we all know that playing a cut's pretty cool, and it's a little more precise, but, it had a stigma attached to it that, oh, man, he only fades the ball. Whenever, you need to draw. We just saw a guy win the Open. All right, we just saw a guy win the Open with whose primary shot shape is a cut. And if you watch this guy, good gravy, he sets way over that way and then just throws it through. So there's more to it than that, right? It's all about how you can manage yourself, manage around the golf course. And it doesn't hurt to be supremely talented and be able to handle pressure. Did you guys hear that he was the first person in the history of golf to win the first 2 majors he signs up for? How about that? So there's indications of a legend in the making right there. Seymour P3. What's up, bud? Tip City on vacation in Venice, Florida. Well, enjoy. Hopefully you got some golf clubs with you. How do you fix a cast stem on a putter that has snapped off? Oh, well, without being a smart butt, get you another one. If it's broke, there's only one way that you're putting it back on, and that's welding if you really want it done that way. And if you're going to weld it, then you got to weld it, you got to prep it, and then you got to grind it. And if you don't want it to make it look ugly, and it will never look the same, and it probably won't feel the same either. However, that's what you got to do. Whether it be cast or forged or machined, you're going to have to weld it back. And that's all I can tell you can do. All right, Big Al. Good evening. We had the Captain's Day yesterday, and I was only shocking. It was a warm 29 degrees, and Irish people are not built for the heat. Oh, warm 29. That's probably Celsius, too. Yeah, not built for the heat. Been the handicap secretary, has been a year fun. Well, good for you, sir. I'm glad that you're liking it. It's always good to be involved. And, when we had our trip out there, they were, Ireland is a wonderful place to visit, and it's very scenic, just like Scotland is, and the UK. There's the countryside is just like you see it, or even a lot of the stuff you see, just like you see on TV, and in a lot of different places. It's everywhere you look. And I could imagine somebody who was born and raised there that, just like being here, that things that would be unusual to somebody from there to here, it was just the same way the other way around. And, but I did find it to be funny that a lot of cases that, around here, air conditioning doesn't matter where you're at is a standard. And you get over there, air conditioning is not a standard because it normally doesn't get that hot for too long. And we ran into that one day, and they kindly put in a very large room fan. It had a little thing of it just spurted out water just every so often. It missed it out. Man, I tell you what, did the trick. Yeah, did you sign up for? How was that? How did we get to do that? Because the you heard that on the radio. XM had a thing going on the whole entire time. You guys got to get in the ballot if you want to go next year. It's going to be really cool, right? The 150th, and it's going to be at the old course. I mean, it's just going to be. I mean, if you haven't reserved your room in St. Andrews, likely is you're not getting one. I would imagine, particularly at the Russecks. I imagine that place has already been held over, and that was a very nice hotel. But it'll be fun. The restaurant around the corner is very good, but it's very small. And then the oldest club maker is right across the street. So it's nice. It'll be fun. People will be all over the place. Justin Donaldson, new MBs coming from Mizuno, and the answer to that would be yes. Yes, they are. That's the only reason why I didn't get them in my demos, because I'm right on the cusp. In October time frame, they start telling us this is they start showing us new models. And then our availability is somewhere between, it depends on the company, between January and March. Most companies are failing towards the latter, but between January and March. And in the same time period, they're also leaning out their inventories. They're leaning out their inventories. So right now, it would be the July and August are probably the last 2 months that you want to, order something like that on a model that is going to be replaced, because if they don't have it, you're not getting it. And the way Mizuno's been going with their 6 and 7 week delay time, it could be even more sketchy. So the smart money for this particular company is to wait. Now they are going to have the new blade, they're going to have the new MMC, and they're going to have a new HMB. And those are going to be the three biggies. And they're going to have a new forged wedge, the T22. And, well, at least if they follow the naming. So we ought to see some pretty interesting stuff from a player's perspective. What do you say, Scrunchy? Toasty. I bet it's pretty doggone hot down there for sure. How many times can you bend an iron loft before you run into any problems? That's a good question. And much like the Tootsie Roll Owl, well, 1, 2, 3. It depends. Again, like in golf, everything it depends. If you're making minor adjustments, like a degree, a tweak here, a tweak there, you could probably do quite a few, 5, 6, maybe even more, depending on how small and the direction. If you just kept tilting it back a little bit, you'd probably get away with a lot more than if you're doing like that. All right. Now, if you're doing large adjustments, probably not as many, because you really are stressing that metal. think of it as, if you guys remember the old metal coat hangers, and this was how it was explained to me, the metal coat hangers. And how many times does it take before you bend it in big bends before the thing snaps? And that's where it goes. And I've had clubs brought to me that have been bent 6 times, and I was number 7, and I literally would just put the bar on it. You get the head, and the bar would sit on it like this, and the sheer weight of the bar would break it because there was an existing crack all the way around. They just hadn't noticed it. And I said, look at this. And I had one of the guys I said, set this on there and just lay it on there and watch what happens. Bam. Like, dude, I can't fix those. Oh, okay. And I said, well, how many times have been worked on? He said, well, this is 6 going on 7. Okay. And then I've had others that look brand spanking new. So softer clubs, less, harder club. Well, the other way around, it would be, in my opinion. Harder clubs, less, softer clubs, more. John Jenkins. Look at that. Hello, Robin and Jim. Ha ha, Robin. Jim, what are your thoughts of the Maltby forged wedges with a black finish? All right. Well, as a whole, I like the Maltby line. They do a very, very good job. They lose out in the way of marketing because that's not their thing. Their TS line, I think, was a much, much bigger hit than they ever thought it would be. If I thought that if they had a weakness in their line at all, I would believe it to be in their putters. And only because they have those big X putters, and although super high MOI and super, there could be all these really good things, it's made of aluminum. And they're just so big because they have to be made of aluminum because they're so big. I think it gives off a different feel than what it looks like, and those big monster putters are distracting. Outside of that, now he has some smaller ones I think look really, really good. They have some milled ones I think are extraordinarily good, but they run their course and they got to change. Now back to the wedges. I had those. We used to fit those quite a bit. The ones with the different widths in the soles. And the frogged wedges, the forged wedges in the black finish, they hit fine. They hit the ball fine. They grab the ball fine. Everything they do very, very well. I will say this: the black finish makes the club extraordinarily brittle. All right. So does that mean you're going to snap the head off? No. But if you're a guy that needs a 2-degree flat or a 2-degree up or some sort of change, you had better ask for it before you order it, because you go to put it on there and you will snap it clean off. I have done that, and just by a little tug and off it goes, and it snaps, and boy, oh boy, is it a surprise. Man, it's got this itchy thing going on. So if you need any changes, have them change it for you before you buy it. Camilio, how are you from Bogota? Glad to see you can make it, sir. Brian, fires in the Northwest and British Columbia and flooding in Alberta with smoke. Oh my goodness gracious. I did see where they were you're getting the fires again. And I thought you guys were getting enough rain that was supposed to stop, but apparently not. I hate to see that because the Great Northwest is really another place that's very, very scenic. We lived in the Seattle area. We lived in right outside Tacoma, and man, oh man, you could drive in any one direction and find one type of, you could be in a desert, a mountain, a wetland, a forest. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. Mr. Joe, currently on the 17 tee box at Westchester. Okay. Got to get on the soapbox. What are you going to say, bud? Got to play with a different group than I'm used to. and their etiquette was terrible to point. I split off. So my question to you is, if you are playing with people you are not used to, what breach of etiquette sets you off? Oh, well, I will say this. I have, going forward, Joe, is when people ask me about getting lessons, particularly brand new golfers, I totally and completely agree that we need to get they need to get lessons for the basics and etiquette so that they know how to conduct themselves while they're out there. One of the things that going to hit first and all that other stuff, that doesn't bother me nearly as bad as my big deal is I want to leave the course in as good or if not better shape than when I approached it. So fixing divots, rolling really close to the green with a trolley or a golf cart, the things that can hurt the golf course in the waves of etiquette. Guys getting mad and pounding their clubs into the ground. Those are the kinds of things I just don't like. I just don't like them. And I understand guys getting mad and screaming and cussing and all that kind of stuff. We may not like it, but I can understand that, and because mostly they're getting mad at themselves. But when you hurt the course and make it so that it's not very fun for the people that are behind you, I'm not for that. Camilio, for today, how do you fit wedges flex? Well, in a lot of cases, Camilio, there aren't a lot of wedge flexes, more like wedge weights, okay? A lot of guys will, now it's not to say I can't go get an X Flex and do something with it, a standard X Flex and mess around with it to give you a wedge. However, as a whole, wedges are all pretty much in the same boat. Now, you'll have you can have 80 gram, 90 gram, 95 gram, 105, 115, 130 in the weights of the shafts, and that can be graphite and steel, right? You look way over here. Let's see. Let's go over here. See that up there in the corner? And let me go a little further. Right there. Right where my finger's at, all the way back. Those are different wedge shafts, and they are different weights. Okay, they are different weights. Let me give you a little bit of, and there we go. And they're different weights. Now, as shafts are made, the more the weight, the stiffer it becomes. But honestly, it's more about how you transition, how you release, and a lot of different things like that. All right, Brian, what do we got here? Does the golf shaft industry need a new parameter to compare shafts? It seems the present specs is weight, flex, torque do not distinguish a $300 shaft from an $80 shaft. And Brian, you would be correct. You would be absolutely on the ball, sir. The only thing that's a standard between them is length. They're even when they say it's a 60 gram shaft, it may not be 60 grams. It may be 63. It may be 62. It may be 59. In a rare occasion, it really is 60. Now you can say, well, that's manufacturing tolerance. True, and I've seen plenty of spec sheets where they suspect that the total weight of this thing is 63 or 59, or even on some that would give you the idea that they'll say, give you a number like an XYZ 105, and when you go to measure it, it's 112, because they think that the playing length is going to be 105, not the actual total length being 105. So there's a lot of difference. Even the way torque is measured is different between them. Now, you would think that if you had a, torque is measured normally, it's a 1 foot arm, 1 pound weight, and you see how much it torques in degrees. Now you would think that if I went and I made a 6 pound or a 6-inch arm and a 2 pound weight, that most certainly I would be able to get the same number. It don't work that way. So, and then it depends on where you clamp that arm. Is it at the very end of the shaft, the middle of the shaft, where? And so everybody's got their own differences on what makes a shaft. Unfortunately, there is a guy out there. Look up. There's a guy out there that actually measures them, and his name's Russ, and he's in Texas, and he measures he measures them all the same way, and then you can get all these different curves for profiles and bend weights and stuff, or bend areas and things like that, so that then you have a measures of apples to apples. Now I'll give you a case in point of why this is important. In the day when Mitsubishi released the Blue Board, it was their very first foray into the golf shaft industry, and they were really wanting to be a premium golf shaft. It was a $300 in the golf shaft in the 90s, right? Hugely expensive in comparison. And we went to start measuring, and it had the exact bend profile of an Aldila NVS, right? The copper shaft, the NVS, the copper shaft. However, the balance profile was this much difference. There's that much difference, and the two shafts couldn't play any more different. So you just got to be wary of what you're looking for. Alrighty, so did you have to change all the adapters on all those shafts behind you? Yes. Except I haven't done those guys just yet. They have to get with the same ones that are down here. And I may not, because in the irons I could get away with reusing some shafts. In the drivers I cannot, because I was cutting 1 inch to 1.5 inches off the tip of these driver shafts in order to make up for the weight. Now I don't have to. So they will play as designed, which means I have to go back and restock my driver shafts. So here's a good one, guys and gals. I'm heavy with Acra, and I like VA composites, and I do have a couple of KBS. They're not flying off the shelves by any shape of the imagination, but outside of, now we're talking driver shafts only. If you had your pick of a driver shaft, the one that would offer the highest quality with the highest amount of variety, and that you would trust, what company would you choose? So I'm being very specific. Biggest variety, the one you would trust, and the one that has the highest quality that you're aware of. Which one would you choose? Put that down there. Let's see what we can find out. All right, Scrunchy, what we got? Got a complete set of the Beryllium Copper Hogan Magnums, and I have completely refurbished. Well done, sir. I cannot find an example of a set having been sold, determined value. I don't know. If they're exceptionally rare, they ought to fetch a very nice price, I would imagine. I'm going to have to think about that one. Who would have an idea on that one? There's a PGA market or a PGA club, something like that, that is kind of like the blue book on golf clubs. Now they tend to undersell, because much like a used car sales, you buy low and sell high, and that's what they're doing. But it should be able to tell you where you're at in the market to be able to get to that. But you're right, I wouldn't have any idea either. But if they're really refurbished and they look really nice, and they're very rare, I don't know. But that's where I would go with it. I would look at this blue book and see where you could get the idea. There we are, sir. Hope all is well and not raining. It isn't right now. Something in the mail soon. Great job. Thank you. Again, you didn't have to, but thank you so very much. Everything is better with bacon. And I agree, Charles. I agree. Yeah. What do you say, buddy? What do I think about changing shafts and Vokey wedges? I think that if you like enough, if what you have doesn't feel right and you like the head, then why not? Keep in mind it is a taper tip, so you're going to be relegated taper tip unless you wanted to ream it out. The other one is that typically Vokey uses the dynamic gold. And the dynamic gold, when they say wedge flex or wedge type or tourish or whatever, that's basically I'm going to say somewhere in that area of an X Flex 8 iron and put in there. And that actually works pretty good. I'm not a big dynamic gold guy, but it does work pretty good. If you hot drive a driver, is it possible to remove that stuff? Well, I've never had the call to do that. One would think let's think about this for a moment. All right, so in some cases the answer will be yes, and some maybe no. It just depends on the amount of hot melt that you put in there. Because if you get that thing hot, right, it's going to get, the hot melt is very fluid when it gets warm, and it doesn't take a whole lot to make it get very fluid. You know, they come in the original tubes. They came in about a tube, a tube about this tall, which is about 2 inches, and about that big around, and just chock-a-block full. 10 seconds in the microwave turns this thing into a like pouring it out of a faucet. So if you had it in there and it was been in there for some time, I would try to get it warm in a fashion. Like for me, I have the Easy Bake Oven, which is basically a big locker with a couple of 100 watt light bulbs in it. Gets to about 120 degrees. I would probably put it in that for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 hours, and with the idea that wherever I put that in is already open. So the minute I rush from my locker to my bench where I've got a paper towel or whatever, and I start manipulating it to try and pour it out. But that's the only way you're going to get it, or even get it hotter still. The whole idea here is you've got to get it warm, and I mean really warm, in order for it to flow. And then once it flows, it should come right out. There you go. Better with bacon. That's 2. I gotta get back to the top again. Here we go. Huh. It was a very good. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a good round. The wheels only came off for a couple of holes. The driver was working. Everything was working pretty decent. The irons were a little shorter than average, but it allowed me to get used to chipping, and the thing was going, so not too bad. Justin, thanks for coming along, buddy. Again, guys, we're here to this. If you would, like and subscribe the video, or like and subscribe to the channel, like the video. That way this keeps getting spread around to more people. If you guys are interested, they do have some news. So if you guys are still here by halfway through, you'll be able to hear. Number one, we still have the divot tools. They are still going pretty good. I get it. We sell quite a few. Not bad. Thank you guys for ordering them up. The other one is just a few of these guys left. I gave one to my dad and here's another use, is when he goes weed whacking, so all that stuff doesn't get all over you. The other one is that we've contacted these people. the people that make this hat, and we got a couple of dozen on order. And I got the big one that fits my head, and the next one down, and they're the basic colors. We got a black, a red, a navy blue, and then we got one more color, and I can't remember what it is, and maybe gray, and it'll have this logo on it. So when they come along, we'll let you guys know. Mr. Braxley, what is the best shaft removing gun? Shaft removing gun? Well, I don't know if there's a shaft removing gun. That'd be cool if there was. Well, let's do it. Let's answer this in two forms. The shaft removing gun, if we're talking about a heat gun, my favorite is using the Bernzomatic butane torch because it's localized heat. I know guys that use those heat guns that are used in paint stripping, and that just makes me nervous. And the fact that it's a lot of heat blowing out of an area about the size of a 50-cent piece, and you got to keep the gun moving, otherwise it will melt the paint. So, but anyway, it's the heat gun. If you're talking about the best shaft removal machine, then I would have to go right now. Is the reverse thrust shaft puller that Golf Mechanics has. Now, you can get them at Golf Works, you can get them at Golf Mechanics, and lots of very, very smooth, very, very, the ball bearings on it very, very smooth, and the clamping system is very, very nice. If the guy that made mine was still making it, it would be mine. I can't believe that there's another one out there that is better than that, but it's not being made anymore. So the reverse shaft, the reverse thrust puller. Yeah, that's been the story of my life the first half of this season so far. John likes the sliders, good for him. Chips ahoy. Scrunchy broke 80 for the first time, 79, and it doesn't matter if it's a 79 or a 69. What is, and that with a triple bogey on 16. Look at you go, man. Turning it on. Well done, sir. Yeah, a triple and that's, our golfers like that the whole way, right? I say I shot an 80 and then I got, I had 4 3 putts, so that's automatically a 76. Maybe not, but or you get in there and I shot this and if I wouldn't have put that one into the trees, if I wouldn't have put this one over there, that kind of stuff. It was just funny how we always start counting backwards to make we could just get there, right? And that's actually a good thing, so that we can make ourselves try to be better for the next time around. All right. All right, talk about the classes and how the week goes while taking a class at Maltby Academy, thinking about taking the 3-day course. I've been to 2 or 3 of the classes, at least 2 that for certain. I can't remember a third one. Anyway, what'll happen is you walk right in, sit right down, and you're in an area that is nothing but workbenches and tools and whatnot. Bring your clubs. And Jim Yananich is an excellent instructor. The dude has lost more than most of us will remember, and just one heck of a quality individual. And what you'll do is they will have a stack of stuff. There's a stack of stuff for you, depending on the class, right? There will be books for you to take with you, reference material, hands-on stuff, and they'll give you a syllabus, and you will go through it, and they will keep you on track, and you'll get through it. You'll hit, normally on breaks you hit golf balls out on. He's got a couple of indoor hitting areas, and you hit them out past the pond. You can go outside and hit them down the range. Just there's a lot going on, and then. I don't want to steal their thunder, but they offer you a really nice deal while you're there. So, Save your dollars and dimes for when you show up, and you'll do very, very well. All right, what are we sipping today? Coke Zero and Bullet Frontier whiskey here. Okay. Well, there's nothing coming on the backside, is it? Oh, you just want to see the backside?
They want to know about fitted or not.
Oh, well, I haven't got there, but okay, how's that? It's fitted. Yeah, we do fitted hats. It's a mesh, but it's not a see-through mesh like on a trucker's hat. There's a padding in there. There's a padding in there. I've had this particular hat and style for going on 4 years now since I've ever. It's the New Era 3930, I think is what they call it, or 3039. Macallan 12 double cask. That's what it was. No rain finally come on, man, in Florida. All right, let's see you do well, man. I will say this, we played, I took my day, we got up early, and I had a 6:28 tee time. 6:28. And we got done, and I was loading the clubs into the back of the truck at just 2 minutes before 9. 2 minutes before 9. I thought that was awesome. Being able to get back home, oh my goodness. Yeah, you can take a nap before it's nap time. Charles, it is actually smooth. They have a triple cast that I don't like very well, but the double is very good. It's a American oak, and then there's it's a English cask or English wine, or it's like a sweeter cask that it sits in, so very good. Glenn Levitt, man, there's nothing wrong with that either. Woo! I like those. Normally I'm a Fittick person, and it's spelled here, it's Fit-itch, but I was looking at another show, they called it Fittick, and I was like, so I've been saying it wrong this whole time. So I'm trying to correct myself. All right, what happens when the shaft is too stick? Does the club head stay open? Stay open or closed? Okay, what happens when a shaft is too stiff? I mean stiff, maybe that's what it is. It stays open. It tends to stay open if it's too stiff. That's because you're not telling it to, you just don't have enough to tell it to do that. That's what's happening. Now you go, well, how come it hits lower if it's staying open? Well, yeah, but if you look, when it stays open, it's doing like this, and it's going off to your opposite. And I bet it's not nearly as high as the other one. Guy McClellan, how are you, sir? Can you tip an even flow black shaft from a 410 driver? Well, I think so. All the even flows have right around anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of tip section. So yeah, you should be able to. I wouldn't go any more than an inch, otherwise it won't play nearly like you think. Join one club, it's free ballot to enter. We'll rent a cottage 50 miles away. There you go, sir. That's what I'm talking about. Look who we got back. Pooey, what do you say, sir? Have you been out on the course? They've been letting you out? I hope so. I've been hearing that, they let you out, then they put you back in. Then they let you out, they put you back in. Now I think now that everybody's out and about and they're enjoying the outside, that going back and putting masks on and whatnot, I think that's going to be that's a hard genie to put back in the bottle. All righty. Any idea on a shaft to help reduce high strike locations on driver length? Yes, or even tee height. Tee height's another one. If you're hitting it high, so a couple of things. So if you're hitting it like right here, right? Oh, I'm getting the wave, guys. I'm getting the wave. I got to move it on. If you're hitting it high, a couple of things are happening. is that you're either coming into it like this, right, and you hit this thing and it balloons out, and they go, oh, you just need to tee it up higher. No, you need to tee it lower, right? You need to tee it lower if you're doing that. The other one is if you're, I can't believe that you would be sliding underneath the ball. I just don't see that. So, but yeah, length and tee height. Working on the Ben Hogan right arm position, hopefully going to play Cape Fear National. Ooh. And Pine Needles, somebody's going to Pinehurst. Tobacco Road. Nice. Well done. That's the one place I really like to go. I think I've got my buddy Bob convinced. It's just getting the wives convinced now. All right, what do you think of Harry Nelson's dimple wedges? Well, dimple wedges were in the day were something. I don't think that you can play them anymore. But they were a thing. John Kennedy, what happens to a club face when the shaft is too stiff for your swing? Ah, there we go. Does the club face stay open or closed? I keep slicing the driver stiff, 3-wood straight regular. There you go. You got your answer, John. You would be correct. I think I answered that before. The stiffer one stays open. The other part is, in reality, if you don't want to change the shaft, choke down about a 1/2 of an inch to an inch. And all you can do is, it's just like batting, right? When you couldn't bring the club around, the coach would tell you to choke up. Same thing with swinging a golf club. Ah, Harry Taylor. Well, no Harry. Actually, I know his kid. I don't know. I think they're okay. I don't really have an opinion on them, to be sure. There's Russell. How are you, sir? Aloha from Hawaii. Well done. Thank you for joining us. How are things going? Thomas. So I've been hitting greens but losing the ball on the backside due to lack of spin or approach angle. Any suggestions? I hit a 700 spin. Yeah, you are not spinning it very much. So on the average, what's happening, Thomas, is a good rule of thumb is you're looking for the same number of spin, RPMs and spin as the number on the iron. So if you have 7 iron, 7,000. Now, can you be less? Yes, I'm less. I'm around 5,000, 5,400. I'm one of those. But it'll stop. But 39 is certainly not nearly enough with a 7 for sure. And that would be kind of an issue. One of the things I would look at might be your golf ball. If you're hitting an X ball or a star ball or something like that, don't. Go to the next one down. Here's Russell. I want to see, does the all-fit adapter add length as opposed to the OA adapter? If so, how does it affect flex? Russell, it does not. Right? It goes in and adapts just like the regular ones. In fact, I got to get this here for you. So, for instance, and I'll pick out the big one since it's on the video here. Like this guy, this is a Nike adapter. I don't know if you'll be able to see the N on it. Anyway, this is a Nike adapter, and this sits inside this sits in the hosel area of the head, and then everything connects with those guys. And it's true for that kind, and it's true for that guy, which was a Srixon, and Mizuno, and Titleist, and Callaway, and all of them. And no, it does not add, and it doesn't impact the flex. That's the reason why I like it. Krister, I saw a video of you swinging a golf club on Facebook. Not bad, sir. I know why you like the heavy clubs. All right, I know I like the heavy clubs. A little outside in. Not much, but a little. Well done, sir. All right, where do we go? Yeah, what do we order? All right, well, good enough. Tad Moore makes a good putter. He's really big into the wooden shafted stuff right now. All right, had asked about a 4 degrees of loft between irons, currently playing a DCI 990. Ooh, wee, guy. DG 300s and 6 and 8 irons. The 6 and 8 irons are my issue. Both hit shorter. Also, spacing between clubs is off. Thinking of a shaft and loft for new irons. Thinking of shaft and loft for new irons. Okay, so on the whole, particularly if you can swing something that's a DG300 and actually get the performance out of it, 4 degrees of loft between them typically is correct. Okay, typically. Now the 6 and 8 irons, if they're giving you trouble, maybe have them spec to make sure that they truly are 4. Well, between those two, 8 degrees apart between the two, and they're to the spec. Not just from each other, but to the spec. That would be a thing right there. The other part is that if it just started, that's what I would look for. If you've had that problem from the get-go, then I would do like you're thinking, and I would have the shafts checked. You may have one that's an outlier, and it might be just too much, meaning too stiff. Woo, those guys are fast, aren't they? All right, let's get down to the big down here where people are talking to each other. That's cool. Ice cream and maple bacon. Oh, right. Now we're talking. I've seen chocolate and bacon. I've seen bacon and bacon. Ice cream and bacon. What else in bacon?
No more bacon.
Oh, we're baconing it up. All right, three more, and we're done. Have you checked out the new Garmin R10 launch monitor? Seems really good. Brian, I have not. That's the mobile. I think it's that mobile jobby, and it very well may. I think that's their first foray. I saw a commercial for it, and for testing on the range, taking around with you, looks, you could use it. If you're looking for something with a little bit more oomph in it, I would look at the Flight Scope. Mevo Plus, the Mevo Plus. All right. If I'm a half inch long in my irons, should I extend my wedges? I would say yes. All right. Let's get down here. Holy cow, you guys are talking to each other. That's awesome. All right. Oh, I remember that one. Crock pot with the sand. We use a wok, and you got to get playground sand, otherwise it'll stick. That's a real problem too. There's Tim. How you doing, sir? Ronald, how are you? So Charles, when they come in, we'll tell everybody. But we're having the sizes of the super fat head for me, and then the next one down. Next one down is a pretty reliable size, and we're having 4 colors, and navy blue will be one of them, and it is a fitted hat. All righty. Here we go, Brian. Sort of my irons from Srixon there. Are they doing a good job? Yes. Do they swing weight them or spinal line the shafts? They will swing weight them, but they will not spinal line the shafts. There's no OEM that I know that does that. And yes, they just throw them together. Now, what they do is they align them in the same fashion, right? If they have a label, the labels will all be in the same spot. So at least the alignment will look good. Did I miss Diane? Where's she at? There's Dwayne. Dwayne, are you taking all that money from all those guys down there yet, or what? All right. Yeah, you are correct, sir. All righty. Man, there's all. Listen to this stuff here. You guys are killing me. This is fun stuff to watch. I'm getting entertained just by reading all the stuff you guys are talking to each other on the side. All righty. Robin wants you to put you to work so she can have a drink. Well, she's probably in there now, but yeah, that's true. I got another set to put together. I do have a set of, I got some TaylorMades, the Sims I've torn apart. I got to put back together. Alrighty, so that got me down to the bottom of you guys talking to each other. That's pretty funny. Well done. Again, guys, remember to like and subscribe and watch for this. And we will have a video going out on Tuesday. And it's a walk through the fitting shop now that I've got most of my stuff done. And we'll go from there. And guys, as always, let's see your scores. Go low.